Hi guys, this is math lesson 14-2, talking about halves. So if you'll be on page 589, this whole page is all the instructions. So just ignore what I have on the board. I'm going to hold my book up, but follow along on your page, okay? So at the top it says that Zach has 4 sheets of construction paper. He cuts each sheet into 2 pieces. Which sheets of paper did Zach cut in half? So you'll notice there's the red, green, yellow, and blue papers. Equal shares are the same size. If there are 2 equal shares, each share is half of the rectangle. The red rectangle is cut into 2 halves. 2 halves make a whole. Okay, so you can see that in the red one, both sides of the red rectangle are even. Okay. The green, let's look at the green. These pieces are not the same. The green rectangle is not cut into equal shares. It is not cut into halves. So if you look at the green, okay, you can see that this side is much larger than that little side. So it is not cut in equal shares. The yellow rectangle is cut into 2 equal shares. They did a horizontal line, which works just fine because both the top and bottom are even. The blue rectangle is cut into 2 equal shares. They did a diagonal, okay, but each part is the same. So Zach cut the red, yellow, and blue sheets of paper in half. All right. On page 590, I would like for you to do numbers 1, 2, and 3. So if you'll pause the video and then press play when you're done. All right, so for the first 3, you had to circle halves or not halves to describe each circle. So for number 1, it says circle, but the first one's a square. So for number 1, you should have circled halves because each section is even. Number 2, you should have circled halves. Number 3, you should have circled not halves. For number 4, it says to draw 2 ways to split the rectangle in half. So I went ahead and drew the 2 rectangles, pretend that they're even, okay? We have to just split them in half 2 separate ways. So the first way we can do this is to do a horizontal line going across, okay? So we would have like 2 squares, and we would have 2 squares. So there's 2 lines and 2 lines, so that would be even. On the bottom, we can do this vertically. Okay, so you would have like 3 squares, and then you would have 3 squares here. Okay, so both of these would be divided in half. Number 5 is problem solving. It says Ruby splits a rectangle in half. Each half is made up of 15 equal sized squares. How many squares make up the whole rectangle? Well, let's just pretend this is what she's done. If there's 15 on each half, we just have to add 15 and 15. Okay, I'll do it vertically. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So there would be 30 squares total in Ruby's rectangle. Number 6, Lewis says the rectangle does not show halves because the parts are not the same shape. Is Lewis correct? Explain. So is he correct? No. And let's figure out why. Okay, so each part is made up of 6 squares. You can kind of see that, okay? So if you count the squares in the top part that he did and then the bottom part, there's 6 in each. So he is not correct because both parts show 6 squares. So it is even. Okay. On page 591 at the top, it's the same example of the colored papers, cutting them in half. So go ahead and pause the video and do numbers 1 and 2 at the bottom. All right, at the bottom, you had to circle halves or not halves to describe each shape. So for number 1, you should have circled not halves. Number 2, you should have circled halves. Okay. Page 592 is the homework page, so go ahead and do that, and I'll check it when I get your packets. Thanks, guys.